Thanks for your time. Director of Legal Services at the National Communication Authority, NCA, Abuna Asafo-Adjei, has ended her testimony before an Accra High Court, insisting the NCA does not have a valid contract with Infralux Development Limited. She has, over the past 2 court hearings, been testifying as the state's first witness in the trial of former NCA board chairman Eugene Bafo-Boni and 4 others charged with causing financial loss to the state. She was cross-examined on Tuesday by 4 defense lawyers. Confronted with a controversial contract document, Mrs. Asafo-Adjei said it was not valid since due process was not followed. There is more in this report.
Mrs. Asafo-Adjei, during cross-examination, was handed the contract document signed by the former Director General, but she insisted that could not have been a valid contract executed on behalf of the NCA. Lawyer Bafwa Sasijima, lawyer for Alhaji Mimina, had suggested to the witness the former DG, as an officer responsible for the NCA, could enter into a contract on behalf of the authority. Mrs. Asafo-Adjei rejected the suggestion. She told the court the signatory portion of the contract document read, quote, National Communications Agency, unquote, instead of National Communications Authority. She added all contracts entered on behalf of the NCA are prepared by the legal division and kept in its custody. This, she insisted, was not the case for this contract. Lawyer Jima had, at the start of proceedings, notified the court of his motion for discovery of documents to be relied upon by prosecution. Justice Eric Chebafo asked that he holds on and moves the motion on Thursday, January 25, 2018. Lawyer Osafo Boabi, who represents businessman George Derrick Opon, during his cross-examination of the witness, suggested that the NCA had in the past released funds to the Ministry of Communications despite not budgeting for that. Mr. Asafo-Adjei disagreed, saying it did not require budgeting because the money involved belonged to the ministry, which were proceeds from the sale of spectrum executed by the NCA. The state is expected to call its second witness on Thursday, January 25, 2018.
Away from court, Majority Leader in Parliament, Oseche Mensah Bonsu, is backing demands by the minority in Parliament for full disclosure on the illness affecting Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. The Vice President left Ghana for London on Friday after the Flagstaff House reported he is ill and under medical observation. The minority wants the government to disclose what exactly is wrong with the Vice President. Mr. Mensah Bonsu says the details will, however, only be released after the doctors have completed a thorough examination of him.
We all go on, sick leaves or go to seek medical attention, sometimes inside, sometimes outside. And I've been saying that somebody was saying that, well, why not use the facilities in Ghana? That could be used. But I do remember that when Parliament had to assess the facilities at Kolebu, you know what happened? In many of the tests that were run on us, they had to send the samples to South Africa. And sometimes, about 1 week, the results have not come back. So if something happens and it requires immediate attention, the person has to be at the source of where these samples have to be evaluated. What's wrong with that? I don't see anything wrong with that. But having said so, I think we should all be taking good care of ourselves. The Vice President is a very thorough person. As the head of the economic management team, he wants to read every material. He wants to be a step ahead of the committee members. Very diligent, very scrutinous person, and he reclines very late. He reclines very late and he's up very early.
The minority leader has repeatedly made that point on his health. Do they deserve that? Should they get that?
Well, I think going forward, I think for reasons of transparency and accountability, I don't see that as maybe ill-conceived, right? But the point is, I keep telling my colleagues that they should be consistent and principled, right? President Mills issue, when it came up, I made this request. It was parried away.
Will you push that government goes ahead and releases those specific details on what is wrong with the Vice President to the public?
What can be done now? What can be done now? If the person suffers some ailment and he's sent to doctors, the first thing they would do is to assess the situation. And based on their own suspicion, because the doctor then will say that I suspect this, can you go for these tests? Would you want to report on mere suspicions? You will not. So let those tests be run by accredited medical officers, and when we have that, the medical report then could be made available to us, right? So for now, I think it's most preposterous for anybody to say that let's demand the report. What report? The report based on suspicion.
So when he's back, you will support it?
When he's back, and people are saying that, oh, we want to know, because we want to know how much the nation has spent on him. Based on what? Which is the call that I made of President Mills. And those of them who to this day are resisting it are the people who are now saying this. Why don't you tell them, the physician, heal yourself first? But when they make it like you are repeating to me, oh, the minority that is saying this, what did you tell him when he said that to you? Be consistent and be principled yourself.
Parliament has meanwhile extended the time given to the committee investigating the cash for seats scandal. The committee has one more week to finish its work. Mr. Mensah Bonsu says this has become necessary because the expatriate business persons refused to appear last week before the committee when invited, though no reasons were assigned.
And the committee, I think, has agreed that they will meet them in camera and hear from them. Which is why this morning, when we met at the business committee level, I informed the minority leader of the application of the committee, and we all agreed that we should grant them extension one more week in order for them to be able to report to the House by latest Wednesday, the 31st of January.
And something dragging it further, me end up prolonging the wrong notion that is out there, and as you rightly indicated, some have called it scandal.
Well, it's for. I can't purge any mischief maker of his own afflictions. I cannot. But as I said, thus far, what is coming out, is not showing that anything untoward has been done. If I listened to the account of the Honorable Philip Beho, for instance, who was very candid, and he explained the transactions that the outfit has been engaged in all this while, and nobody has raised the issue about, cash for seats, even though it had happened at the time of President Rawlings, at the time of President Mills, at the time of John Mahama, at the time of President Kufuor, and now the time of President Kufuor. So why would anybody not liking what happened in those times past as cash for seats? But just now, is it a case of mischief, or just the case of giving the dog a bad name to hang it? I think we should be charitable to one another as a people. And if you make an allegation, you should be in a position to prove. You don't make an allegation without any proof and say to us that, let Parliament go and investigate. I've put out my case, let Parliament go and investigate. It's axiomatic that if you make an allegation, the onus, the burden of proof lies on you. We don't just make an allegation and say to us that Parliament should go and investigate. I think that in itself is unfortunate. And going forward as a Parliament, we may have to learn useful lessons from this. But I think that ultimately we should also ensure that the proper thing, that there's not been any breaches, and that the proper thing was done. If there were breaches and we have to proffer any advice going forward, we will do that.
Norton MP Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, who is one of the petitioners, welcomes the extension of the deadline. Still to come in this bulletin, former President Kufuor expresses worry in Ghana's state of insecurity following recent security issues.
Naturally, we should all be disturbed but we shouldn't sound like we are overrun.
But the Inspector General of Police is assuring adequate steps are being taken to ensure the country's safety.
Things that have happened is not going to break our resolve to protect the people of this country. And they should continue. That is our sworn mandate. And we continue to protect life and property and maintain law and order in this country.
We'll be back with more. Welcome back now to the rest of our stories. Former President John Kufuor has charged the security agencies to arrest increasing insecurity situations in the country. Speaking to reporters when the Australian, British and Brazilian High Commissioners called on him at his residence, President Kufuor said Ex-President Kufuor, said the situation should be a source of worry for every Ghanaian, but must not overwhelm mandated agencies. He made specific reference to the Kwabena police station incident where some suspected criminals broke into the police station and freed suspects in custody.
Naturally, we should all be disturbed, but we shouldn't sound like we are overrun. We are not overrun, and I believe in the competence of our security agencies to overcome the trend, to arrest and contain the trend, so that our societies will continue to be peaceful, live peacefully. People can go about their duties and lives without undue fear. So yes, we should be concerned with people breaking into police cells to free criminals. This is not something that should happen in our country. But as I say, I believe our security agencies would rise to the occasion and contain it, so that we can go about our lives peacefully.
In a related development, Inspector General of Police David Asante-Apitu is assuring adequate steps are being taken to ensure the country's safety and keep all police officers safe from harm. The IGP was summoned to appear before Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee to respond to questions on what led to the death of a policeman at Dome Kwabena here in Accra. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo has more.
Inspector General of Police David Asante-Apitu was in Parliament on Tuesday along with other senior police officers for the meeting, which lasted close to 3 hours. He told journalists after the meeting police personnel are still determined to do their jobs.
We are behind our men. I mean, we assure and reassure them that things that have happened is not going to break our resolve to protect the people of this country. And they should continue. That is our sworn mandate. And we continue to protect life and property and maintain law and order in this country.
As well as the Ghanaians?
Yes, that once we are up in our game in protecting life and property, Ghanaians must be assured that they are in safe hands.
Interior Minister Ambrose Derry, who was also at the meeting, says government will properly equip the security forces to prevent such incidents in future.
Matters of logistics, by all means, came on. You know that I've had occasion to say that we have different levels of shortfalls. First of all, from the personnel level, we have 1 policeman to 848 civilians. The United Nations says minimum 1 to 500. The government, you know, is starting some recruitment this year of 2,000. Some years we haven't had it. We need to do more. The President is committed. We also are aware of the logistical support that the President has given. 200 for vehicles, 400 motorbikes, and that's because we are beginning to confront different type of crime now using motorbikes, that we need to change our ways.
Ranking member on Parliament's Defense and Interior Committee, James Agaga, says the committee feels reassured following the meeting.
That is why we thought that it was prudent to engage with the police, the Ministry of the Interior, which engagement has happened. And I'm saying that the issues that came up for interrogation were done. There was some in-depth exposition with relation to the issues, and we're generally very satisfied with the outcome.
So for you, was it just a communication issue and the information not reaching you about what is being done to deal with the situation?
An issue, something happened, and life was lost, and we all felt troubled that, listen, this is not the first time. You remember what happened at the Afram Plains, and coming on the back of that, we lost another life at Kwabinya. So we're just wondering whether or not the Ministry of the Interior, the government, and the police have strategies to contain and stem the future occurrence.
Do they have strategies?
Yes, they have, but I can't disclose them here because, I mean, they have security implications.
Still on crime, 2 suspected armed robbers have been killed during a shootout with the Tema police. A statement signed by Public Relations Officer of the Tema Regional Police Command, ASP Joseph Benefo Dakwa, said one of the suspects was on court bail for robbery. Here's the statement. It says, at about 9:50 p.m. at Community 11, police had a distress call from a victim who was being robbed by 2 armed men on a motorbike. When the police patrol team arrived at the scene, the robber with a gun fired at the police. Police returning fire and the robber was hit, while the other robber ran for cover in a big gutter. The other robber tried to escape on a motorbike but was pursued by the police to Pong landfill, where in an exchange of fire with police, he was shot. And he was identified as Raymond Banini, alias Shot Capo, a notorious armed robber whose case is pending at the Ashaiman Circuit Court for robbery and is on court bail. Both robbers were rushed to the police hospital where they were pronounced dead by the medical officer on duty. The bodies have been deposited at the police hospital morgue for autopsy. Meanwhile, 1 motorbike, 1 locally manufactured pistol, and a handbag identified as that of the complainant were retrieved. The Tema Regional CID is investigating the case, and the statement is signed by the ASP, Mr. Joseph Benefo. Away from crime, the youth and opinion leaders of Breman Edumenu in the Isikuma Odobing Brakwa district of the Central Region are calling on the Ghana Education Service to transfer all male teachers in the community for engaging in illicit sexual activities with students. This follows a viral video of the head teacher of Edumenu DA Basic School having sex with a student. The head teacher fled the community since the news broke. The Central Regional Police has been investigating the issue. Our correspondent Richard Kwejonyako has details of the story and now joins us via Skype. Good to have you back, Kojo Nyako.
Thank you, Aisha.
So Kojo Nyako joins us on the phone. Kindly tell us what are they demanding from the youth and opinion leaders of Edumenu?
Well, basically, the youth and opinion leaders of Brahman Edumenu in the Sigma of Mbrakwa, they are demanding that all the teachers at that particular basic school, the Edumenu DA basic school, should be transferred by the Ghana Education Service. Their reason is simple, that these teachers have been having illicit sexual activities with the girls in the community, and when I visited the community, it was like a contest. There was like superiority. The teachers are having all their girls, and the youth are not having any. And so that explains why they want the teachers to leave, because they do not want the teachers to be sleeping with the girls in the school. You know, the issue of teenage pregnancy and these related activities have been of major concern. To the people in the Central Region. You recall that teenage pregnancy cases in the central region, even last year, was up to like 13,000. And so this has really called for serious concern. But the teacher in question, Mr. Robert Sepe, has fled the town. He is nowhere to be found. But the GES in the central region is requesting that he returns to his post. He's done none of that. And so the Ghana Education Service, in order to provide some leadership for that particular school, has directed that a second supervisor within the district should act as the head teacher pending the outcome of the investigation that they've started conducting. I've also been interacting with the parents and the relatives and some opinion leaders in the community. They feel that the issue is much ado about nothing. Apart from the going viral, the head teacher and the students were in a relationship. At least they confirmed that they've been in a relationship for about 3 years. The girl in question schools at Sikuma Odobin Senior High School, and they've had that. And the head teacher in question has also been offering some support. He's been showing some responsibility towards that. And so the Ghana Police Service this afternoon issued a release, and they have been speaking with the girl. The girl has declined speaking with the media, but they spoke with the police after the girl was invited to write her statement. The girl mentioned the names of 3 persons, Bright, Abdullahi, Joe, and one Felix Kwam, are the people that leaked the video. They gave the girl's age to be 20 years. The girl will be turning 20 years. The girl was actually born in September 1999. And so these are some of the things we've been picking up from the school.
All right. Many thanks to you, Kojanyakon, for the update. We'll still come to you in our subsequent bulletins for more. Joining us live also is the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Education Service, Cassandra Chum. Good evening to you, Madam. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening.
Now,
the
community is demanding mass transfer of all male teachers. What is the reaction of the Ghana Education Service to this?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. I must say that we also saw the video yesterday, and quickly we have asked the regional director and the district director to launch investigations into the matter. As to the community members asking for the transfer of all teachers, of course, we'll get to know the facts of the matter if we get the reports. We are expecting that they give the report to us by Thursday. Today is Tuesday, so that we also act on it.
So what has the GES gathered so far as this sexual activity between the teacher and the student is concerned?
Yes, like I stated earlier, we saw the video. Luckily, we have identified the headmaster and then the students. Of course, they are all in the same district. And then the regional director has also confirmed, and the district director, that they have called both of them, they have heard them in a way, but then they are now investigating, probing further as to how and why they did that. You know, we just cannot tell. Once we have seen, the fact that we have seen the video does not also mean we should just move straight away into action. We have to go through, or they have to be taken through a disciplinary process, and that's what we are doing now. And so for us here, we are waiting for the district director and the regional director to give us the reports, and they will look at the outcome. Based on that, they will know what sanction or whatever to do.
Well, there has been concerns that usually when headmasters perpetrate this kind of act, what the GES does usually is to transfer the headmasters instead of giving them very harsh punishments to deter others. They only transfer them, including teachers. Don't you think this could be one of the reasons why we're seeing increasing acts of this nature in schools?
Well, I do not know what exactly case you are talking about, but we have a number of sanctions for such a major misconduct. One includes the dismissal, and then we have reduction in rank of salary. And then we have deferment of increments of salary and all of that. And so I do not know the particular instance you are talking about, but depending on the outcome of the investigation, that also determines the sanction to be applied. And so for this particular one, we are waiting. When we get the report, we'll know the appropriate action to take.
How soon should we wait to hear from the GES on this matter?
Well, again, I stated earlier that we are expecting the report to get to us by Thursday.
Okay, so
we will know after Thursday what to do, the next step to take.
Well, many thanks to you. Cassandra Chum is the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Education Service. Very grateful for your time. We'll take a break.
For joining me on Business. And tonight, the company set up to help clear the energy sector debts, ESLA PLC, is hoping to raise 137 million cedis as it reopens the 10-year paper. This is what Joy Business has picked up from persons with knowledge of the deal. There's more in the following report.
The bond is expected to close tomorrow after it was opened to investors 2 days ago. Sources say that 137 million cedis is just a fraction of the remaining 1.31 billion cedis that it was seeking to raise when it sold the 10-year ESLA bond last year. The lead managers at the time were able to get 2.79 billion cedis against the target of 3.6 billion cedis. Joy Business understands lead managers are hoping to secure some favorable interest, or let's say a lower cost of raising the 137 million cedis for the 10-year paper that was reopened this Monday. The ESLA PLC is hoping to use the funds raised to help clear the energy sector debts, which the company have already cleared part of from the 7- and 10-year bond issued last year. Delays in clearing the debt had impact on the operations of some commercial banks in terms of rising loan defaults, which had contributed to high cost of lending.
And the Minister of Aviation, Cecilia Dapar, has hinted of carrying out a demolition of all residential and commercial buildings situated on a parcel of land at East Legon here in Accra. The said lands belong to the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority but have been encroached upon over the years, posing significant risk to air navigation devices. This came up during a tour of the encroached areas by a team of officials from some selected state institutions. Charles Aite accompanied the team and has more in this report.
Behind me is a building that houses a highly sensitive machine called the Very High Frequency Omnidirectional Radio Range. Now, this machine aids pilots across the world with specific information as to how and when they could or should land here in Accra. But unfortunately, the efficacy of this machine is currently under jeopardy. This is according to the Aviation Ministry, which is currently on a task force mission to clamp down on all buildings that they describe as encroachers of the land belonging to the VOR. We shall be getting more answers from the Aviation Minister, who claims and of course insists that a massive demolition exercise should come off at this very premise. The sector minister led officials from some institutions, including the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Ghana Airports Company, East Legon Police and the Lands Commission, to assess the level of encroachment on the designated lands belonging to the GCAA.
Then there will be no interference with the machines and equipment when they are being applied to direct flights, you see. This is not to create fear, but we must make sure that the 150 clear zone should be observed. That one is a must.
According to her, some sensitive aviation gadgets positioned on the area in question can't function effectively as a result of the interferences.
And those structures need to be demolished for the safety and the integrity of our equipment. Yes, our navigational equipment, compromising the integrity of the efficient service that GCA is providing, and we will not compromise on that.
So when the demolition exercise going to start?
I wouldn't be able to tell you because we must go to court to secure the order to do it.
Head of Airport Safety at the GCAA, Anita Ajing-Mashi, explained to Joy Business the gravity of the situation on the navigational aids and other sensitive airport equipment belonging to the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority.
The signals should not be derogated, and so if the anything around the facility derogates the signals, it means that you could have wrong signals going to pilots and they could end up having accidents because they would not land at the threshold, that's the beginning of the runway, as is expected.
In the meantime, the Aviation Ministry will be deploying a 24-hour task force to scout this very area to show off potential encroachers that could invade this very premise, and that's beyond the radius. Reporting from the Aviation VOR enclave, just a few meters away from the Kotika International Airport, I'm Charles Aite for Joy Business.
Now, some players in the financial sector of the country are supporting the call by the central bank governor for structures to be put in place before the adoption of cryptocurrencies. Joy Business's Bismarck Awusa has been engaging some players in the financial sector and has come through with this report.
According to the central bank, even though cryptocurrency trade has no legal basis yet, a revised Payment System Act will be considered by Parliament within the next couple of months. This revision, it says, should bring the electronic payment space up to date to international standards and aligned with the evolving electronic payments landscape. Some experts also believe the central bank has to tread cautiously in the regularization of the cryptocurrency trade. They say it will help avoid a rippling effect on the commercial banks. Professor Peter Korte is an economist and a lecturer at the University of Ghana.
The cryptocurrency operations are outside the regulation of the central bank. If you look at the Banking Act and the things it can control, cryptocurrency doesn't come in. And therefore, at the moment, the best it could say is that it is illegal because it is outside the law. It is a new thing. I think we should all embrace innovation. We should embrace technology. But we have to do it cautiously. It has to be done in a properly regulated manner. Otherwise, the bank's monetary policy will be ineffective or will be less effective because this is money outside the control of the central bank.
On his part, Vice President of Group Indum, Papawasa Chifi Indum, says Bank of Ghana should invest a percentage of its reserves in cryptocurrencies. However, he thinks the right legal framework must be put in place.
There's a lot of money stored in gold, but Bitcoin, unlike gold, is divisible up to 100 million units, and you can send it as fast as sending an email. And it's also very resilient, and all the transactions are stored on a public blockchain, making them very, very secure through mining. So people have argued that these qualities make it superior to gold, and it's gold 2.0. And from that comes what is somewhat of a radical argument that African central banks should invest directly in Bitcoin in particular.
If you're an asset manager for Switzerland, maybe there's a $100,000 fund, would you advise your investment committee to place any funds in Bitcoin?
Up to 1%.
You are going to do that?
I would do that. If I would make the investment case, and the reason why is that in any investment analysis, you have to diversify.
Meanwhile, President of the Chartered Institute of Bankers, Reverend Patricia Sapo, has also been advising bankers to be abreast of current developments in the cryptocurrency space, especially the Bitcoin.
Is the cryptocurrency or are the cryptocurrencies a threat to banking? This is something we need to consider seriously. Because so many years ago when mobile banking came, nobody ever thought that mobile banking will evade the whole banking industry right now. So what are we doing about the crypto? Will the cryptocurrency disrupt banking or the banking systems, especially the remittances? How do we position ourselves to face the crypto environment in the near future?
There's no gainsaying that cryptocurrency has come to stay and everything must be done to harness its operations in Ghana. Bismarck Awusa's report for Joy Business.
Now, the Bank of Ghana has indicated it would soon put out a new formula that would influence lending rates of the banks in the country. Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, who disclosed this to newsmen, however, said it falls short of capping interest rates. There's more in this report.
The changes to the current formula was influenced by concerns it was not reflective of current developments on the market. Therefore, coming up with a new formula and mechanism that is more transparent instead of looking at individual banks and their cost structures would help.
I don't think that you really need a model, really, to get the banks to do the right thing, because if banks want to keep interest rates where they are, they will provide justification, right? They will provide the justification on why they think that even though this is the base rate that is coming out of that model, this is my assessment of the risk premium associated with this or that, you know. So this is why we haven't been that quick in pushing, you know, this movement to the new formula per se, because we want the banks to look at their operating costs and improve the efficiency of their operations, because that is where the crux of the matter is. If we are able to have banks that are more efficient, irrespective of the model that is in place, you will see lending rates coming down. And this is why we are also pushing for larger banks, so that you will derive the economies of scale from the high operating cost environment as a way of addressing the high lending rates in the economy.
The governor of the Bank of Ghana also noted they are yet to receive any formal notice on merging the two institutions.
And then moving on to this discussion on NIB, ADB, I don't know where you are getting that from, because it was only in the budget that the minister announced the intention, and to the best of my knowledge, it is still an intention. I'm not sure if they have even formally written to the supervision department to indicate that they want to merge as a single bank.
On the recent discrepancies on the actual volumes and earnings from the gold exported, the governor was of the view that it's about time the relevant government agencies are empowered to help deal with the situation.
And that's all we have for you by way of business tonight. For more business news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. We are Faye. There's more news ahead. Don't go away. Good evening.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now to one of our top stories. Former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Ernest Aite, who has been accused of fraudulently registering a company to manage the University of Ghana Medical Center, has broken his silence on the matter. He describes the assertion as quote, illiterate, unquote. He further dismissed any conflict of interest claims made against him, explaining that the decision to register the company is normal practice.
On a Dome FM's burning issue Monday evening, the Deputy Minister of Health, Kingsley Abuaji-Jedu, questioned why the former Vice-Chancellor, together with others, including a former Deputy Health Minister, Rojo Meto-Nunu, will register a company to manage a government property.
See at the hospital in chair say among special purpose vehicle. They
claimed they were given the green light to put together a special purpose vehicle to manage the hospital. And do you know the people behind that special purpose vehicle? Rojo Meto-Nunu, Professor Aite and Professor Lawson, all in their personal names.
Professor Lawson and Professor Aite. Not in their official capacity, but in their personal names.
Professor Ernest Aite disagrees with the Deputy Minister, claiming the assertion is born out of illiteracy.
The government of Ghana accepted the request and assisted the university by borrowing $270 million to build that hospital. It was always agreed between the university and the government that when it is completed, it will be managed by an independent entity, independent of both the university and of the government. The Deputy Minister of the, he can assure him that I said the position he has taken on this is a very illiterate one, both his and the minister's.
The facility is a 600-bed hospital, expected to provide training and other health services for clients.
A 3-member committee has been set up to investigate why teachers at Eduman embarked on a sit-down strike for 2 days. The committee is made up of Ashanti Regional Minister's representative, Regional Education Director's representative, and the GES Director General's representative. They will also investigate allegations leveled against the headmaster of the school Francis Agoso and submits the report in a week. But the teachers say the terms of reference giving the committee for the investigation does not reflect their petition. They're therefore asking for a written copy of the terms of reference and a response from the head teacher to their petition. The teachers are threatening that if the human rights infractions raised in the petition are not addressed, they would not avail themselves for any investigations. Meanwhile, the aggrieved teachers have suspended the 5-day sit-down strike from Wednesday as the committee's work begins on the same day.
This is Joy News Prime.
Let's get on to the rest of our stories. Lead researcher who carried out work in the soil and water bodies in the Chebi area in the eastern region ahead of the pilot reclamation exercise has described as disturbing the level of pollution in water and sand samples collected for the test. The mercury content in the water bodies, according to the research team, is far beyond the level accepted by the United Nations. This development has made it impossible to reclaim some of the areas. Johanna Zitzman revealed this during the inauguration of the 8-member Chebi Reclamation Project Committee at the Lands Ministry.
The team of researchers have been on the ground for months, collecting sand and water samples from areas that have been heavily polluted by activities of illegal miners in Chebi. The lead researcher laid bare the findings of the team.
The Fiaso area, all the way to the main road, where the old road meets the new road to Kumasi. It's a huge area. It goes over 10 kilometers in one direction and probably another 8 kilometers in the other direction. It's quite a large area. So we're working on the World Health Organization specs, which is 2 ppm. That means 2 parts per million of mercury contamination in water. Then we discovered some disturbing areas, which luckily for us is isolated, but cannot be reclaimed immediately with as high as 4. I beg your pardon, it is actually 2 ppb, 2 parts per billion, WHO, World Health Organization regulations.
Deputy Lands Minister Benito Usubio read out to the committee their terms of reference, including introduction of economic trees and crops at sites that will be reclaimed. Other responsibilities of the committee include certifying lands that are safe for reclamation before they would be handed over for reclamation through scientific soil tests. The extent of contamination in the Chebi area has gone far above the internationally accepted levels, and experts are calling for urgent steps to reclaim degraded lands in the area.
Away from Chebi, inequality abounds in every sphere of society, from education through the work environment to family life. Many have complained that society has created gaps affecting some vulnerable groups. In a bid to end what has been described as an inequality crisis and build the economy for the average income earner in the informal sector, Oxfam Ghana has held discussions with some traders at the Medina market on work and wages. The traders, mostly displeased, says they barely make enough money to take care of their families and called on government to pay some more attention to businesses in Ghana. Efua Evans Chinre has more.
Oxfam Ghana, as part of contributing to the global campaign on an equal pay, today held discussions with some traders at the Medina market to have basic knowledge of their average daily wages and situated in the bigger global discussion. The exercise shared real perspective on growing inequality in the economy and how it reinforces poverty. Some of the traders shared their views on how they experience inequality in their daily lives and how they believe this can be addressed.
Me free for me do na about 5 and 5:30. 5:30. Now wait for her time then. Me free at 7.
I get to the market very early. I make very little money in a day. We can't even save.
Oh, sir, I know they are no been a radio, and they are 5 beans here. About fly no more the big school, and they want to me 5 beans.
By 8, dear Namaba. I get to the market at 8 a.m. Sometimes I make very little money in a day. I need to eat, take care of my little boy, and pay for our transportation.
Ebia ube manage say ebia na better adie say but ube wie no na dia wo manage say obenya no we nya ne sa ube emfaso dem babo eka.
We don't make any money, we barely sell anything. We are making losses rather than profits.
Ampala tianto adie na wo first no no tonwa onye bi wo so ti so to adie a ya ka no na ya ka ma
marketing to me cost what, and I'm make income more.
If this business thrives, then we can make a lot of money. We always have to change our strategies towards getting our customers back.
Bicycle and coffee cost supply. The amount customers in the come in our market.
If you talk to these poor women, they tell you how they even access credit to support their trade. I mean, it is so difficult. They have to rely on a number of these microcredits, what they call agencies. And if they estimate how much they pay in real terms, for instance, someone says that I'm charging you 3% or 5%. Cumulatively, if you multiply it by 12 months, you know that they are paying you far higher than what any banking institution will be charging. It's well in excess of 60% and beyond. So what is government doing to support such people in developing their business? And it is this same business they are using to support their families and all that. If you move away from here, where the produce is coming from, we know a majority of the Ghanaian population are farmers. So it tells you that it's virtually impossible. How come the cocoa farmer cannot earn a decent living? How will this make even agriculture attractive for the young ones? We keep on talking about the young ones going into agriculture as a means of employment and making a decent living. But the prospects, I mean, if you work out the numbers, they don't add up.
A team of experts from the Ghana Export Promotion Authority and Cashew Industries Association of Ghana have been monitoring the mass cashew spraying exercise in some districts within the Bono Ahafo region. The mass cashew spraying, which is being done in some selected districts on pilot basis, aims at increasing cashew yield by 30%. Joy News' Nestor Kafui Ajuma was with the team and now reports that several cashew farms in Wenchi, Techiman, Nkranza, Sampa and Drobo are benefiting from the spraying.
Cashew mass spraying was launched in December last year to help control insects and pests that prevent farmers from recording high yield. Ghana Export Promotion Authority is supporting the exercise with finance, and Cashew Industry Association of Ghana is also providing the necessary expertise for the success of the project. Checks were presented to trained grafters during the monitoring visit to produce cashew seedlings and other planting materials for the farmers. Aaron Achia is the Executive Secretary for the Cashew Industry Association of Ghana.
We wanted to find out the problems so that we'll be able to correct some of the problems in the field. We also want to know how far they have gone with the spraying, because we want to end the spraying maybe by the 20th, because some of them have even finished. So we want to get there and then find out. Secondly, we have engaged some trained grafters who are going to produce planting materials for farmers for this year.
According to Aaron Achia, most of the farmers are complying with all the guidelines for the spraying of their cashew farms.
There's high enthusiasm of farmers, most of them wanting to get their farms sprayed. We also realize that the planting material producers, as the nursery operators, were very happy seeing the checks that were being given to them, because according to them, they will be able to expand the nursery operations which they have been undertaking. So I'm sure this year we are going to add something to what they have been producing.
In an interview, the national president of Cashew Farmers Association, Nana Edubuamponsem V, said the issue of insect infestation in the various cashew farms has reduced drastically due to the mass spraying exercise.
Previously, we were not doing spray, but we had a lot of complaints from the farmers with insect infestation. But now, those complaints, according to the farm that we have sprayed, there have not been any complaints. And in total, we are now heading towards about 1,150 acres within the Wenchi municipality alone. We are here to go to other districts to find out how many acres they've sprayed.
Grafted cashew seedling producer Edith Esiedua commended the Ghana Export Promotion Authority for providing the funds for the production of cashew planting materials. Nesta Kafu Ajoma's report for Joy News.
The Australian High Commission and the Salvation Army Ghana on Monday commissioned a modern therapy center of excellence in Begro in the eastern region to aid the rehabilitation of children with disabilities. The center will aid the reliable, sustainable and improved delivery of quality rehabilitation services.
The Salvation Army Begro Rehabilitation Center was established in November 1982 and operates as a community-based social service for disabled children and young adults in rural areas of the eastern region. In a speech, the center administrator Raymond Bedu said the facility is to improve the quality in the delivery of rehabilitation services in the district.
The increase in the number of patients visiting the facility for therapy services now has made it necessary to expand and refurbish the old classrooms on the rehab compound to be used as modern therapy gyms to enhance effective and efficient delivery of services to our clients.
The Australian High Commissioner to Ghana in a keynote address stated the facility was going to make staff of the center more efficient in their work and improve the quality of services in the district.
It is with much joy and pride that I stand here today as we commission this all-important facility. This is a worthy investment for which the High Commission is very proud. I have no doubt that this new facility will make staff more effective in their work and improve access to rehabilitation services.
The center administrator appealed to government and the NGOs to assist the rehab center to continue its services in the district.
And our growing slums in Zongo communities are worsening the plight of residents already plagued by poverty, unemployment, disease, crime and other antisocial activities. Many of the settlements in Kumasi have seen tremendous upgrade in road infrastructure in recent times. Now, Live FM's Erastus Asaridonko reports beneath the flamboyance is a story of filth created by the people. In the following piece, he takes us into some Zongo communities in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi.
Areas like Abuabu Zongo, Sewaba and Aswase benefited from massive facelift in road infrastructure, especially under the erstwhile NDC government. The beauty of the roads and paved streets to the casual observer fades away into cosmetics and exposes fundamental issues with direct negative impact on the people. The popular Zongos in Kumasi are settler communities that constantly attract the youth, mostly from northern Ghana and neighboring countries in search of greener pastures. Many of the areas remain underdeveloped with low level of education among residents. Makeshift structures dominate residential facilities with poorly constructed alleys. 15-year-old shoe repairer Abubakar is from Burkina Faso. He lives alone and plies his trade here for a living.
Post office.
Post office?
No.
Abontain now. Where then now did he? Well, so I've been talking to 15-year-old Abubakar, and he's saying that his mom, his parents are all in Burkina Faso. He came here with one of his family members, but he's been abandoned to his fate. So he sleeps at the Abuabu post office on a bare floor. And in the daytime, he works as a shoe shine boy. I asked him how much he earns. He says 5 cedis. There are many of such children in the Zongos, plying trade of their own, fending for themselves. Abubakar represents Zongo's teeming youth who are in search of decent jobs. These young men come here with their tools, looking for menial jobs like weeding people's compounds. Many of them are into buying and selling of metal scraps. Along the Abuabo Susan storm drain are these clusters of settlements in filthy, demeaning environment. These kinds of habitats continue to rise almost by the day. These men at Abuabo Zongo want government to provide jobs to keep the youth busy.
They even put it as if you are like you are a politician, you have a godfather in politics, then you will get a job, whether MPP or NDC. But if you don't have any godfather, you will not get the job.
People are exposed to the risk of due to poor sanitation, as evident here at Dagumba Line, where residents live close to drains turned into dives. The unbearable stench, ironically, is good enough for this young man to enjoy his meal of rice known in Hausa as shinkafa. This drain was supposed to be used for liquid waste. It's sited deep within the heart of Dagumba Line. Now residents here have a separate mentality of what drains are to be used for. Whilst other people channel liquid waste through this, residents of Dagumba Line, Abuabo and its environs who live around this drain have decided to use this one for the dumping of solid waste. So behind me here you can see all manner of solid waste, from plastic to solid human excreta wrapped in polythene sacks.
This is Joy News Primary recap of our headlines this hour. Majority Leader Sechimen Sabunsu backs demands by minority in Parliament for full disclosure on the illness affecting Vice President Dr. Baumia, but insists that should be after complete diagnosis. Former President Kufuor expresses worry in Ghana's state of insecurity following recent security issues, but the Inspector General of Police is assuring adequate steps are being taken to ensure the country's safety. Also, former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana accused of fraudulently registering a company to manage the University of Ghana Medical Center. He says such assertions are born out of illiteracy. And in business, a company is set up to clear energy sector debt. ESLA PLC targets 137 million cedis as it reopens 10-year bond. A 3-member committee set up to investigate and submit report on why teachers at Eduman Senior High School embarked on a sit-down strike for 2 days.